There are moments in life when heaven leans in closer than usual. Moments when God prepares something so big, so unexpected, so supernatural, that your current circumstances cannot even hint at what He is about to do. And I believe with all my spirit that you are standing on the edge of one of those moments right now. God is about to drop a massive win on you, a breakthrough that will silence fear, confuse the enemy, and elevate your life into a place you never imagined. Sometimes God hides His greatest victories behind the ordinary. Sometimes He wraps the miracle in silence. Sometimes He allows you to walk through seasons where nothing seems to move, nothing seems to shift, and nothing seems to change. Not because He has forgotten you, but because He is preparing something bigger than your mind can comprehend. Heaven is arranging pieces you don't see. God is working behind curtains your eyes cannot look behind. And while you think nothing is happening, God is setting up the win. A massive win doesn't come from your strength, your effort, or your intelligence. It comes from the hand of God. And when God decides to bless you, nothing can stop it. When God decides to lift you, no force can pull you down. When God opens a door, no human can close it. When God calls your name in the Spirit, even the darkest battles must back away. You are not stepping into victory. Victory is stepping into you. Some of you have been fighting silent battles, carrying hidden pain, dealing with private pressure, smiling on the outside while warring within. You've been faithful even when you felt empty. You've trusted God even when life confused you. You've held on even when you wanted to give up. And heaven has taken notice. God has watched every tear, every prayer, every sacrifice, every moment you chose faith over fear. And He has decided, now it is time. The win that is coming your way is not small, it's not average, it's not ordinary. God is not about to give you a blessing that blends in. He is about to give you a blessing that stands out. The kind of blessing that makes people say, how did that happen? The kind of win that exposes God's fingerprints all over your life. The kind of breakthrough that shifts your identity, your influence, your provision, and your future. God is about to place you where your talent alone could not take you. He is about to open doors you could not force open. He is about to release resources you didn't even know existed. God is preparing a win so big that even you will question, is this really mine? And heaven will answer, yes, this is the season I prepared you for. Don't be discouraged by the delay. Don't let the silence trick you into believing nothing is coming. Don't misinterpret waiting as punishment. God uses delay to position you. Waiting is not wasted when God is involved. He delays what is small so He can deliver what is great. He slows down the moment so He can increase the miracle. He stretches the season so He can expand the blessing. When God brings something massive, it requires divine timing. Get ready, because God is positioning you for a sudden shift, a sudden elevation, a sudden answer, a sudden breakthrough, a sudden release. When this wind drops, it will happen fast. What took years to break will break in a moment. What resisted you will surrender. What blocked you will collapse. What confused you will make sense. What overwhelmed you will bow to God's power. Your responsibility right now is simple. Stay faithful. Stay available. Stay expectant. Speak life over your future. Guard your thoughts. Reject doubt. Protect your peace. Pray with boldness. Walk with confidence. Act like the win is already on its way, because it is. God is not preparing you for disappointment. He is preparing you for destiny. Your story is about to shift. Your atmosphere is about to change. Your direction is about to turn. And when God drops this massive win into your life, every battle, valley, tear, and struggle will make sense. This is your season. This is your moment. This is your divine appointment. Get ready. God is about to drop a massive win on you, and nothing can stop it. There are seasons in life when everything around you becomes quiet, and it feels as if heaven itself has gone still. You pray, but you hear nothing. You try to move forward, but nothing changes. You wait for direction, and all you encounter is silence. These moments are often the most confusing because your heart knows God is real. Your spirit knows He is faithful, but your circumstances look completely opposite of what you have been believing for. Yet it is in these silent seasons that God does His most intricate work. Silence is not absence. Silence is strategy. Silence is God carefully arranging details that your mind is not yet ready to understand. When God is preparing a massive breakthrough, He often does it quietly, away from the noise, away from the opinions of others, and away from anything that could sabotage the plan before it forms. The silence of God is not a punishment. It is a sign that something extraordinary is being constructed in the spiritual realm. When a building is being constructed, the foundation is laid underground where no one can see it. It looks like nothing is happening, yet the most critical work is taking place. The same is true with God. When He is preparing a massive win for your life, He doesn't start with what is visible. He starts with what is hidden. He builds the foundation of your blessing in silence so that when it finally manifests, it will stand strong against pressure, envy, opposition, and doubt. What God is preparing for you is not fragile. It is not temporary. It is not shallow. It is something deep, something stable, and something meant to last. Sometimes God keeps things hidden because the blessing is too big for your current environment. What He is shaping requires maturity, strength, and spiritual depth. If He revealed it too early, you might mishandle it, underestimate it, or allow the wrong people to contaminate it. So God works silently to protect the blessing while He prepares you. You may think the silence is proof that nothing is happening, but God is actually preventing premature exposure. He is shielding what is yours from harm until the right moment arrives. There are also times when God's silence comes because He is shifting people, opportunities and resources into position. You cannot see what heaven is coordinating. You cannot see the conversations God is stirring, the hearts He is softening, the minds He is influencing, or the doors He is unlocking. You cannot see the divine chain reaction being set off for your benefit. All you feel is delay, but all God is doing is alignment. If He blessed you before the alignment, you would enter a place unprepared to hold the weight of what He was giving. But when everything falls into alignment, the blessing doesn't just come, it flows. In these silent seasons, God often removes things that cannot stay in your next level. He removes people who would sabotage your blessing. He disconnects you from places that cannot contain your calling. He closes doors that are too small for your destiny. But because He does these things quietly, it feels like loss instead of protection. It feels like rejection instead of redirection. It feels like collapse instead of preparation. You look at what you lost and wonder why God didn't intervene sooner. But God intervened by allowing the loss, because the loss was actually the doorway to what He is building behind the scenes. Even the delays that frustrate you are part of His silent preparation. Delay is not denial. Delay is divine timing, protecting you from walking into something prematurely. Delay is God ensuring that when your massive win arrives, you will be in the right place, with the right people, with the right strength, with the right mindset. A blessing given at the wrong time becomes a burden. A door opened too early becomes a trap. So God slows things down, not to limit you, but to prepare you fully. What you call delay, heaven calls precision. The silence is also a test of your faith. There are victories that only come to those who refuse to be moved by silence. If your faith can withstand quiet seasons, it can withstand anything, because faith that only believes when it hears something is not faith. It is emotional dependency. But faith that believes even when heaven is silent is unshakable faith. That is the faith God rewards. That is the faith God honors. That is the faith that pulls massive winds out of the unseen realm into the visible. During the silent seasons, God often stirs an inner transformation that you don't even notice is happening. You grow stronger without realizing it. You grow wiser without acknowledging it. You grow more resilient, more disciplined, more spiritually sensitive. Silence sharpens you. Silence awakens your inner hearing. Silence forces you to find God not in noise, not in activity, but in stillness. And in that stillness, your spirit becomes stronger than your feelings. Your faith becomes stronger than your fears, and your trust becomes deeper than your questions. So when you feel silence, do not assume nothing is happening. Heaven is at work. God is orchestrating something precise, powerful, and personal. The silence is not the end, it is the setup. The stillness is not abandonment, it is positioning. The quietness is not emptiness, it is the sound of God building something massive for your life. And when He is finished, when the right moment comes, when everything aligns, He will release the blessing in a way that will make you realize the silence was never a delay. It was divine preparation for the massive win He is about to drop into your life. There are moments in life when you reach the end of your strength and you suddenly realize that if anything good is going to happen, it cannot come from your own ability alone. You've done all you could. You've tried, pushed, worked, and stretched yourself thin. You've used your wisdom, your effort, your connections, your strategy, and for a long time, it seemed like your life depended on how hard you could push. But what God is getting ready to release in your life is not the kind of blessing that flows from human effort. It is not a result of striving. It is not something you can earn, manipulate, force, or fight for. The win that's coming is so big, so supernatural, that it could only come from God. When it arrives, you will know instantly that it wasn't your intelligence, your strength, or your hustle that produced it. It was grace, pure grace. There is a blessing that comes from obedience, a blessing that comes from diligence, but then there is a blessing that comes from the sovereign decision of God. A moment when heaven chooses to step into your story and rewrite what you thought was already settled. A moment when the favor of God overrides the limitations of people. A moment when the hand of God lifts you higher than your own strength could ever carry you. And that is the kind of win God is preparing for you. Not a small breakthrough, not a minor improvement, not a tiny shift. A massive win, the kind that cannot be explained by human effort. When God decides to bless you, there is no system, no person, no circumstance, no opposition that can stop Him. His favor is not intimidated by obstacles. His power is not limited by statistics. His breakthrough is not hindered by the size of the problem. Heaven does not need permission to move in your life. God works by His own authority, His own timeline, His own purpose, and when He releases His favor, it bypasses everything that tried to block you. It jumps over every closed door. It breaks every chain. It ignores every limitation. God is not asking anyone's permission to bless you. He is not negotiating with your situation. He is not debating with your enemies. When He decides it's your season, everything else must bow. This blessing is going to be so unexpected that people who doubted you will be confused. People who underestimated you will be silent. People who counted you out will have to watch God count you back in. No one can block what God has written with His own hand. No one can interfere with a miracle that's already been signed in heaven. No one can shut a door that God Himself is pushing open. You have fought battles you didn't deserve, faced storms you didn't choose, and carried burdens heavier than what people around you knew. And God saw every moment. He saw when you cried but kept moving forward. He saw when you were misunderstood but stayed faithful. He saw when you were overlooked but kept your heart clean. Heaven keeps records of what earth forgets, And because you remained faithful, even when things were unfair, God is about to release a win that no one can take credit for except Him. There are wins you can explain because you worked for them, but this one will leave you speechless because you'll know you didn't have the strength to make it happen. There are victories that come from effort, but this one is coming from favor. There are doors that open because you knocked, but this one is going to open because God commanded it. There are opportunities that came through people, but this one is coming directly from heaven. It will not be a natural shift. It will be a divine intervention. Sometimes God allows your strength to run out so you will recognize His. If you could do it on your own, you would think the victory came from your talent. If you had the power to fix everything, you would rely on yourself instead of Him. But by allowing certain things to exceed your human ability, God is positioning you for a blessing that makes it clear that it wasn't your effort. It was His hand. And when God's hand moves, it moves with power. When He lifts you, you rise higher than your education. When He blesses you, you surpass what your qualifications say you should receive. When He promotes you, you outrun the ones who started before you. When He pours out provision, lack loses its power over your life. The win that is coming is bigger than your preparation, bigger than your talent, bigger than your resume, bigger than your expectations. You've been operating on the level of what you can do, but now God is about to introduce you to what He can do. You've been walking on the level of human ability, but God is about to elevate you into the dimension of supernatural favor. You've been fighting with human weapons, but now God is stepping in with spiritual reinforcement. You've been trying, but now God is taking over. And when God takes over, everything shifts. What resisted you will yield. What delayed you will accelerate. What confused you will suddenly make sense. What was stuck will begin to move. Doors you couldn't open with years of effort will swing wide effortlessly. Opportunities you thought were gone forever will reappear. Blessings you never imagined will locate you. This win will not be small. It will be undeniable. It will carry God's fingerprint, God's timing, God's authority, and God's glory. And when it comes, you will know, this was not me. This was God. When God is preparing to release a massive win into your life, He often positions you in places that feel uncomfortable, unexpected, or even confusing, not because He wants you to suffer, but because He is aligning you with a breakthrough that exceeds anything you could have planned for yourself. Many people look at inconvenience as an attack, but often it is a holy disruption. God interrupts routines, comfort zones, and predictable patterns because He cannot place extraordinary blessing into an ordinary mindset. Before He drops something massive, He adjusts your posture, sharpens your discernment, and expands your ability to receive. Sometimes the stretching feels like pressure, but pressure is the environment where diamonds are formed. You may feel pressed, but you are being prepared. You may feel shaken, but that shaking is removing what cannot stay for the next season of your life. A massive win from God is rarely delivered in a moment. It is usually built in stages. God begins by shifting your spirit. Suddenly, the things that satisfied you before don't satisfy you anymore. The environments you used to be comfortable in start feeling too small. Conversations you tolerated now drain you. Goals you once thought were enough no longer feel aligned. This is not confusion, it is spiritual growth. God is enlarging your vision because the blessing coming your way requires a new level of expectation. Your spirit recognizes the next season before your eyes do. You sense something is coming, even if you can't explain it. You pray differently. You think differently. You expect differently. You wake up with a quiet confidence that something in the unseen world is shifting on your behalf. That's the Holy Spirit preparing you for the win before the win arrives. Then God moves into the phase of repositioning. This part is often misunderstood. You may lose opportunities, but those losses are redirections. You may see relationships drift, but that distance is protection. You may have doors close, but those closures are divine steering. God never shuts a door without preparing a better one. When God is about to drop a massive win, He makes sure you are not tied to places, people, or decisions that would sabotage the blessing. He moves you away from what drains you and toward what grows you, sometimes gently, sometimes abruptly. But every shift is intentional. You are not being abandoned. You are being relocated to the place where the blessing will find you. Some people cannot go with you into this next season, not because they are bad, but because they are not built for the weight of what God is about to place in your hands. Once your spirit is expanded and your position is shifted, God begins revealing glimpses. You receive small signs, small breakthroughs, small confirmations that remind you He is working. Things start aligning faster than usual. Favor begins appearing in unexpected ways. Suddenly what was stuck starts moving. What was delayed starts accelerating. What was impossible starts looking possible again. These are not coincidences. They are signals that the win is getting closer. God gives you these early markers to strengthen your faith so that you don't grow weary before the manifestation arrives. He gives you previews so you can keep walking, keep trusting, keep believing, even when the full blessing hasn't appeared yet. Every small sign is evidence that heaven is constructing something huge behind the scenes. But before the massive wind drops, God often brings you into a moment of stillness. This is where many people misunderstand God's timing. Stillness is not inactivity, it is alignment. God pauses you, not to punish you, but to position you mentally and spiritually so you don't sabotage what's coming. He quiets the noise around you so you can hear His instructions. He reduces your distractions so you can recognize His movement. He slows your pace so He can enlarge your capacity. It is in that stillness where clarity arrives, strength returns, and direction becomes sharp. You feel a peace that doesn't match your circumstances. You sense a calm that does not make sense on paper. That is God stabilizing your spirit so you can carry the weight of the blessing that is about to drop. Then comes the final stage, the divine release. It often arrives suddenly, unexpectedly, in a way that makes no sense except that God did it. Favor breaks open, doors swing wide, opportunities chase you instead of you chasing them. What you prayed for and waited for begins to unfold in a way that is undeniably supernatural. The resources come, the connections come, the breakthrough comes, the clarity comes, and when it comes in a way that makes every delay, every disappointment, every moment of waiting make sense. God's massive wins never arrive in portions. They arrive overflowing. They come with acceleration, with multiplication, with confirmation that God was always working, even when you felt nothing happening. This win is not just about blessing you. It is about positioning you as evidence that God is faithful, that God is intentional, that God rewards endurance, and that nothing you went through was wasted. The magnitude of the blessing will match the magnitude of the battle. The size of the win will match the size of the warfare. What is coming will not only restore what you lost, it will exceed what you dreamed. In the end, you must remember this. When God is preparing a massive win for your life, nothing can stop it. No delay, no opposition, no obstacle, no enemy. Every hardship you endured, every closed door you faced, every moment you felt overlooked, was simply part of the preparation for what God is about to release. He has been shaping your character, maturing your faith, sharpening your spirit, and positioning your steps so that when the blessing arrives, you will be ready to carry it, protect it, and multiply it. What is coming is not small, not average, not ordinary. It is divine, tailored, and perfectly timed. Do not confuse the waiting season with the final outcome. Do not let temporary situations blind you to God's eternal plan. When God decides it is your time, no force in hell can block your blessing. The doors that were once locked will open effortlessly. The opportunities you thought were beyond your reach will start reaching for you. The resources you lacked will begin to flow. Divine connections will appear. The right people will find you, and the breakthrough you prayed for in tears will arrive with joy overflowing. Lift your head, strengthen your heart, and steady your faith, because you are closer to your win than you realize. Heaven has already signed off on your next season. The angels have already been dispatched. The path is already being cleared. You are stepping into a chapter where God will make up for lost time, turn battles into testimonies, and transform pressure into promotion. Your story is shifting, your season is turning, and your blessing is on its way with power and acceleration. Get ready. Your massive win is not just coming, it is about to drop suddenly, unmistakably, and undeniably. And when it does, the world will know that the hand of God has been on your life the entire time. Stand firm, stay expectant, and keep your spirit open. The greatest victory of your life is closer than you think.